Oh boy, a Lero chapter. Man, I remember how hard it was to pronounce that name back when I was reviewing the anime. Hopefully, I say it right this time. Hello everyone and welcome to the Anime's Elliot, and thank you for joining me as we discuss chapters 9, 10 and 11 of the Tower of God Webtoon series. A few chapters in where we learn a bit more about Shinsu and the lore within the tower, and we meet the ever so charismatic character known as Lero. So let's start with him. Lero was a great character in these block of chapters, as his personality was rather playful. As though, like, I was reading chapter 9, I couldn't help but think that he wasn't taking the whole test or the competitors seriously. Well, not 100% at least, anyway. It was as if he was in a pantomime, in a sorts, as the way he was acting, he was always smiling, like he knew he was better than everybody else. Granted, he was. And he was trying to act like a cute anime girl with the kind of thing. Maybe I misread that panel, but I thought it was. And then he even switched it up to be like an evil anime villain with his eyes covered up by his mouth. I thought that was pretty funny. He has a great personality and I thought it was pretty cool. But don't let that facade fool you. Lero can get very serious. It doesn't take things too lightly, and props to him for showing a bit of mercy to those involved in this series. As, you know, he thought that some of the people that were in this group that passed the first test wouldn't be able to handle the harsh extreme conditions that the tower has to offer in terms of Shinsu. So he was kind of trying to weed out the bad duds. And yeah, obviously he shows he's very persistent and very good with Shinsu in this chapter, and the test was actually kind of pretty cool. He set a pre-test in where they had to travel through a veil of Shinsu. This was obviously testing the luck of the competitors to see if they were blessed with the ability that allowed them to climb the tower, and if they were chosen by the tower itself. And by, I think, Shinsu as well. I got that confused. However, going back to the serious switch of this character, we do see him get rather annoyed when someone tries to create a scene, claiming that they deserve to climb, and this pre-test is unfair and a waste of time. Because he is trained all of his life, he thinks he's stronger than everybody else, he thinks he's bigger and better than Lero himself. And this obviously forces Lero to make an example of this said guy, and basically just reinforces, you know, Lero was acting out of mercy for those who don't possess the requirements to climb the tower. He basically surrounds this guy that's causing the scene inside Shinsu and says, this is only that of the 30th floor. And then he's like, what, the 30th floor? And I guess that obviously means that it's quite close to where they are now. I don't think that's like high up. Maybe, I don't know. Is it where like the closer they get to the top, like the lower the number? Or is it the higher the number? Maybe you can clear that up in the comment section. But either way, that guy can handle it. Lero showed that you should not mess with him. And design-wise, I really did like Lero's design. In fact, this character was a bundle of information in this episode that I thought was pretty unique and pretty cool, because we never had that kind of sit-down moment from these chapters yet. Granted, we're only 9 chapters in, or 10 chapters in, 11 chapters in, but at the same time, it's still quite nice to see that. He's talking to Bam because Bam got lucky and, you know, passed the test without even needing to try. And, yeah, it kind of brings up information about, like, the structure of the tower and where, like, people kind of reside. We get information about the title of Ranker, which is someone who has climbed the tower and possesses a crazy amount of power and ability, which kind of caused the irregulars to back off, which says a lot about Lero's character. He has that aura and that presence about him that causes people to kind of, you know, fall in line. I thought that was pretty cool. And yes, Lero's design does look a bit kind of Jokerish. I think someone kind of pointed out in the series itself it looks like a cricket. I don't really see that myself, but at the same time, when I first saw this design in the anime, for some reason I thought of Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, just a lot more tamed. Plus, he says a line that sparks a bit of mystery. He says, Bam, don't get too close to your teammate Kun, as he's from a very dangerous family. What does that mean? Well, we'll have to wait and see, because it's not elaborated on, but I do think that's also a line that was changed from the anime when comparing the two together. I could be wrong on that. I think like the line in the anime was something like, don't get too close to your teammate. And then like that was it. But this one kind of elaborates on that a bit further and says he's from a dangerous family. Who knows where this is going? We'll have to stay tuned and find out later on. But before we get to Lero's character, we do get some new characters. Well, I say that adding a question mark to the end, because I could just be misremembering things, but I don't remember this knight type character that we see with the blonde-haired young girl. I know someone did point a name out to me in the last video. Sorry, I just can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah. I remember the blonde-haired character from like the anime, but I don't remember this knight type character. Maybe he was there. Maybe he was one of those fodder people that Endorsey like took out later on. And if you're new to the Tower of God and you haven't watched the anime and you're just reading these as I'm going through them, you're probably thinking, who's Endorsey? You'll find out soon. And you'll be pleasantly surprised. Team Shibisu's interactions were great. It shows a lot of character, kind of personality from both Anak and Hats. And speaking of Anats, I liked the panel in where they were talking about luck with the pretest and how it plays a key role in life in general. And then we get like this text speech kind of thing about, having luck from surviving from a near-death experience. And as it's saying that kind of speech bubble, Anak is the one that's covered over on that. And linking that with my knowledge to the anime of what I already know, I thought that was a really cool foreshadowment. I could just be reading way too much into that, but at the same time, I thought that was pretty cool. Again, with Anak, one scene I thought was slightly different from the anime to the webtoon was Bam and Lero choosing who they thought was going to go through the Veil of Shinsu verse. In the anime, they kind of both point at the same person at the same time, where in this, Lero gives his answer, and then Bam chooses his answer after a couple of seconds of thinking. I think I preferred the anime's direction in where they both pointed at the same time and chose exactly the same time. Simply because it adds a bit more kind of like a mystery as to why Bam chose her. Because you can kind of go, okay, so the ranker that's meant to be super strong and super cool is sat here picking this person, so I might as well pick that person as well. I could be right. Or he might just be playing me. And, I don't know. Just something, a little change. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it is. But hey, I thought that was kind of cool. Something you guys can talk about as well. Let me know. All of that being said though, we do end this block of chapters with chapter 10 basically introducing the character of Hong Sung-yu, following the start of the next test. So we're done with the pre-test. Everyone who is chosen or able to walk through that Veil of Shinsu, like Shibisu, like the old hag, like Kun, Rax, Lero? I can't remember his name. The guy in the sleeping bag, you know what I'm talking about. They all pass, and then we get told that this next test, we only get a little bit of information. And it's from the Neon Airbag character, who, by the way, just looks super creepy. Even in his webtoon, he looks a lot creepier than he did in the anime. Oh, that's nightmare fuel. But the information that we get told is those who pass the test before 4 or 5 minutes make no sound. But those who took longer than 5 minutes, you hear screams. And what's more interesting about this is that you only hear the screaming and nothing else. So basically, smarter characters within the series are able to kind of clue some bits and pieces together, and maybe they'll be able to find out that if, you don't pass in 5 minutes, you scream and something bad happens. If you do pass before 5 minutes, then something good happens. I thought it was kind of interesting because it plays a bit of psychological warfare. Because we see, like, the inflatable pink guy talking to Kun and Bam, and they're all kind of there, like, he's there giving his hypothesis and his kind of thoughts about how the test works. But Kun's not having any of it. He's being skeptical as anything and isn't trusting anyone. I think this is pretty cool because it's psychological warfare that is something that is like a new element to this series that we haven't quite seen yet. And I like that. So hopefully we get to see that played on a bit more moving forward. But I gotta say, it sucks if you're the first couple of teams to try this, because you don't get a chance to decide or try. Or maybe Hong Sung-yu goes easy and says, look, I'm trying to test the better people at the back that's behind you. So go for the door. Not going to tell this team. Oh, they screamed. Not going to tell this team. Oh, they screamed. You guys, you can go on through. Maybe he's just doing that to try and test and to kind of get in the minds of other competitors. I don't know. I thought it was pretty fun. Overall, though, I found these block of chapters to be very good, as they all gave us something to think about while moving forward. Which, of course, could be new characters, new information about world building or the test in general. And the one thing I did have a problem with, though, with these chapters was they were very text heavy. And sometimes I did lose a little bit of interest in reading some of the big, long speeches of text. A little bit, like an example would have been when they're talking about the different layers. I did read through it, but at the same time, it just got a little bit over my head a little bit. So if I do mess up on that a little bit, then obviously I do apologize. That's why I kind of left it out. I didn't feel like it was super duper important. It was just Lero explaining to Bam why, irregulars are seen as bad people. So, nothing too serious in that regard. The comedy was great, especially the banter between Shibisu and the old hag lady. I can't remember her name, and I don't think they told us in the series yet, so I'm not going to look it up and say it out loud, because it might be a small spoiler? Don't know. But I thought especially the goofy faces were very good. Especially the ones made by Shibisu, which actually look better than Shibisu's normal design. I don't get it. Why can we get a really good detailed image of Shibisu's face looking like all screwed up and like that, but then we get a really goofy looking normal image? Like Hong Sung-yu, his design looks great. Lero's design looks great. Why is it that Anak, Hats and the main characters just look a little bit off and a little bit goofy? But again, it's the animation art style. I know it improves moving forward, so I'm just waiting for that time when the designs do actually look a bit more crisp and a bit more nicer to look at. Apart from that, not really much faults in the chapters themselves. Anyway, I'll know what your thoughts are on these chapters. Maybe I missed something that was super important, and you can let me know down in the comment section below. We can have a discussion about that super important information, and yeah, let's have a fun time. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me. And until next time, alligator, matane, goodbye. That one.